Sex, lies, Iran, Israel, and WikiLeaks. All very serious subjects, so to start with, here's a joke. A psychiatrist is showing a patient some pictures to try and get some idea about his mental state.
Sex.
Each time he is asked what a picture brings to his mind, the patient says,
Sex. 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 Sex.
Finally, the psychiatrist says, well, clearly you are absolutely obsessed about sex.
I'm obsessed.
Cries the patient.
You're the one with all the pornographic pictures.
I was reminded of that old joke by the news editors of these infamous purveyors of lies and half-truths, as they displayed their own almost pornographic and collective obsession about what they all relentlessly homed in on out of 250,000 documents, anything that had to do with Iran's so-called nuclear threat. Here are some samples. The BBC. No need to read out the headlines, but in the body copy we find they include reports of some Arab leaders, including Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah, urging the US to attack Iran and end its nuclear weapons program. I was unable to find a date related to the cable, nor any evidence of its authenticity. CNN was singing much the same song, but favoring the word anxiety rather than concerns. But a date was mentioned, a matter to which I'll return. Australia's ABC News ran with this headline, but gave no date or proof of authenticity. Then we had Reuters quoting The Guardian, which referred to these repeated calls by King Abdullah, but I missed capturing the Independent's contribution because this link didn't work. But the essence is quite clear from the first few words. Israel says Arabs agree on Iran threat. Well, what do you know? On the other hand, I could have read the London Times leader on WikiLeaks by paying £1 for the privilege, an offer I found quite easy to refuse, but the free-to-read effort by the New York Times certainly made up for what I may have missed with this provocative headline and picture. Around the world, distress over Iran. And the irony is that the New York Times headline writer is quite correct. There is distress over Iran, distress at the way it has been cast in the role of the evildoer, when all but the most ignorant observers realize that it is nuclear-armed apartheid Israel that is the real threat, not Iran. Here's a short quiz, so get ready with your buzzers. Question 1. How many times do we see on TV or read in the newspapers that Israel has 200 or 300 ready-to-go nuclear weapons? Question 2. How many times do we see on TV or read in the newspapers that Iran's nuclear program is peaceful, as they claim it is? The answer to both questions is the same. Hardly ever, if at all. In the interest of balance, a report in the Jerusalem Post appears to show a glimmer of sanity. Syrian president says Iranian nuclear strike against Israel would result in massive Palestinian casualties, which Iran would never risk. And on December 6th, Haaretz came out with almost identical wording. Of course the Israeli hawks know that the Palestinians serve them as a protective shield, but their sights are on more distant horizons. Apart from oil, an ever-expanding Israeli population is going to need more and more water very soon. Having masterminded the utter ruination of Iraq, is it fanciful to suggest that the weakening of Iran, either through sanctions or a military attack, is the next step in Israel's ambition to dominate the Middle East from the Nile to the Euphrates and the Tigris? So watch out, Egypt. Peace pacts and accords don't last forever, as Turkey has recently learned. Now let's